Zuer is absent. Chairman Canelli.
Here. Evidence of quorum is present. Everyone please rise for the pledge. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please ask everybody to remain standing. Please observe a moment of silence for Bergen County Prosecutor's Office Maintenance Supervisor Jeffrey Pope, who passed away on August 5th, 2016. Jeffrey was involved in many of the county construction projects, including one of the projects on the agenda this evening. Jeff served the office of Bergen County Prosecutors with the utmost loyalty and distinction from 2011 through 2016. He was a gifted carpenter, a cherished husband, father, and friend. His legacy of hard work, compassion, and humor will always be remembered by the employees of the County of Bergen. Thank you. Clerk, please read the minutes to be accepted.
August 10, 2016, public session, Freeholder Gans absent. August 17, 2016, work session, Freeholder Sullivan absent.
A motion to accept the minutes.
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. We have a motion to open the meeting to the public. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. We only have a hearing of the general public with a 3-minute time limit in effect in accordance with Bergen County Freeholders bylaws. The board attorney will keep the time. When the time of the speaker expires, the timekeeper will announce the time has expired. Please fill out a slip with your name, address, and general topic. Mr. Noble.
Yes, I'm back. I don't want to do this to get it on the record and maybe in the record. Pardon me, my name is Marty Noble, N-O-B-L-E, from Waltham. It's much worse than it was even the last time I was here, and much, much worse than it was about a year ago. There's nothing on my property that they don't eat and destroy. I don't mean they just nibble, they destroy. It's going to cost about $1,000 if I choose to replace all the plants that get destroyed this year. They come to my property. To them, it's like a roadway to other people's property, but they come through mine every night. I've had 11 in the backyard in the last week. At the same time, there were 6 in the yard. This is broad daylight. And then maybe a quarter mile up from where I live, there are 3. They were born in someone's backyard. Believe me, they're not cute. They're not Bambi. All they do is destroy property. They carry disease. I find nice little piles of pellets in my backyard, 6 or 7 a week. They come, they drop it. I've got grandchildren. I'd like them to play in my backyard. I mean, they can, but they have to sidestep this. Something, no, not something has to be done. It has to be addressed. It's not something. You've got to do what you have to do. I don't care what you do. Kill them, move them up to upstate New York, neutralize or neuter them so they can't reproduce. But they're coming fast, and there's a story in someplace that I read that they're now reproducing twice a year, which is really great. Please, I'm begging you here, and I really haven't heard a word from you guys yet. In 4 visits last 16 months, and 1 probably 3 years ago, and I went up to the Wildlife Center and asked them, and they smirk. They actually smirk at me, like, well, what do you expect us to do? There are at least 100 trees down from Sandy. Down. Pick them up, they have equipment, put them next to the fence so they can't go under, which is how they get there. They go under the fence. If you put them out this way, they're not going to jump over, even though they probably have the ability to jump over, and maybe that'll stop it. And better than that is raise the fence. It's 8 feet. They're supposed to be able to jump over 8 feet. But the people across the street from me have their whole place fenced in, their backyard, and 2 deer got caught in there 2 summers ago. They couldn't get out. the adult male actually jumped and ran into the fence. The baby couldn't do anything. So, you know, if you love deer, fine. They're getting hurt. You know they're all over the highways dead. And there's going to be dead on Wyckoff Avenue. There's no question. In fact, there was one on Wyckoff Avenue in Wyckoff, which is, I was maybe 2 miles from where it was. And it was there for 3 days. That's a lovely thing to see for kids. You got to do something. It's not a question. It's not quality of life. They're ruining everything I try to do with my property. My property looks pretty good, and it can't look anything but lousy if these things aren't stopped. Okay? Thanks.
I could just ask a question.
Please do.
That they're coming from a park or?
The Wildlife Center in Wyckoff is directly behind the homes across the street from Bergen.
Okay, and who owns, so it's Wyckoff, the borough of Wyckoff?
County, it's a county park.
Oh, the county, okay,
Yeah.
all right. So you're saying that that they're coming under.
There's one fence that hasn't been touched in more than 15 years, because the first time I went up to the Wildlife Center, I said, hey, you know, fix this. Okay, sure, what do you expect us to do?
So it's a county park that has a fence around it?
Yep.
And it's not being.
And it has a fence
Well, I'm
around
not
most
saying I
of
don't know what it's.
the entrance where cars go and people go, there's no fence, obviously. And I guess they go that way. I don't know if anybody in Wyckoff has problems. I know people in Midland Park have problems. There's a fellow named Thomas in Midland Park who wrote, who was quoted in this story in the, not the Record, but the Suburban News. And he and I have spoken. He says he just gives up. You can't do anything. You can't chase them. They don't, I mean, the bucks don't run away. They look at you and they drop their head. And I've had that happen to me. The babies, they'll run away. The mothers will run away.
So we spoke before the meeting, so everyone knows, the administrator and I had a conversation, Mr. Noble, before the meeting. We're going to talk about it tomorrow and see if anything the county can do to try and alleviate that problem. It's not just Wyckoff, it's all
everywhere.
I ride down the street in Paramus the other day and there were 2 clusters right on the lawn, right on Forest Avenue. So,
They're everywhere.
so
In Hohokus, they're all over the place, and there's a circle when you're getting off or getting onto Route 17 from Waldwick. There's a circle with lanes all around it, and there are probably 4 in there. They come out all the time. I mean, you can see 10 different deer any day you want.
really,
Hilda Nicole was just showing me a picture of her front lawn that she took when she went home with deer feeding on the grass. But she suggests that the Rutgers Cooperative Extension might be able to offer us some suggestions. They have office space here in the county building. The administrator can contact them.
maybe we can take your deer and put them on Freeholders.
I've tried everything there is to try. I've tried. We've tried hot pepper, we've tried Irish Spring soap. We got the spray. I mean, I was paying $85 a month to get sprayed. Didn't do a thing.
So hopefully we'll get you some information.
They ate it the next day. And then now they eat directly in front of my door, and I can open my door and here's where they eat.
Freeholder?
Sooner or later, it's gonna be dangerous too.
How long have you lived there, sir?
Since 1987. And until 10 years ago,
Was there a reserve there in 1987?
Oh, yeah.
It was there.
until 10 years ago, I had said this before here, I could take my daughters outside, look, there's a deer.
Right.
Now,
So I
they
live
can
in
say, hey, grandpa,
Mount-
there's 18 deer.
I live in Montvale, we have plenty of deer.
Yeah.
Ton.
In Montvale,
Right,
yeah.
Montvale. Montvale, or else I wouldn't be sitting up.
Right. Okay.
Mr. DiNicola was tearing you for fraud right now. My only, you talk about your shrubs, I had the problem, I changed my shrubbery out. And
I
haven't had-
tried.
Just hear me out, sir. I haven't had a problem since I changed the landscape in my front yard.
Well,
And special with the plants that they don't eat, I have a 6-foot fence, which they do jump over at times.
Yep.
They will jump over.
Mhm.
So maybe raising the fence might be an issue.
Well,
Uh,
let me
as
tell
far
you
as
this.
your plants being eaten, I mean, you know they love hoster, so I don't know, I no longer have hosters.
Do you know that they eat barberry with thorns on it? They eat
They're
it.
not eating, I'm just telling you that, I don't know who you landscapers, but you might want to inquire. They have not.
I'm on landscape.
Okay, well, they haven't eaten anything in my front yard in 2 years.
Well,
So,
they eat everything.
after the meeting, we'll get together, I'll show you a beautiful picture, have my landscape.
We have, is it Awamis? I don't know how to pronounce it.
They
That-
eat that now.
They chew that to nothing.
Have you approached your local municipality about this?
Yes. And they said, we can't do, well, they don't have any power over Wyckoff or the county.
Well, they have the power over the town. You don't have the power
This
over
is,
the county
this is
park.
a mostly Wyckoff coming to Waldwick. There are some, and then down like on 17 where it's a Hocus and Waldwick, there are others. And I'm sure there are some.
So the town offers no solutions?
None,
Okay,
none.
that's
And I
right.
went there 2 or 3 times.
Okay,
So
thank you.
somebody will hopefully contact you next day or two.
Please,
Okay.
please do. I'm
Great.
around in the mornings, I'm around in the
Thank
afternoon.
you.
I'm retired with nothing to do except complain.
All right,
You
thank
can
you.
always get a nice big German shepherd. too.
I
It's very
tried
helpful.
that. But we had a dog once, and that didn't work either.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, good luck,
Mr. Nichols.
and thanks for the extra time.
No problem.
Good evening, Paul Nichols. I wish Freeholders was here for this, but the one thing I was thinking, I brought up about the eviction thing, because people still come up to me and, last minute say, I'm gonna be evicted, what can I do? I send them to the center, of course, but there must be a way that, that there could be a list, a way to, because Bergen County has resources for homeless prevention, and to prevent people, if someone has hit hard times, there's got to be a way to, if it's Privacy Act type of thing, instead of having them reach out, give them a list or something. I don't know how that works, but let me get this out of the way quickly. Before don't forget the NAACP Gala, that's up again. You can see Anthony Puritan, as you know, next in October. And of course, Hackensack's Street Fair is coming up in September. You'll see that all on Facebook. What I wanted to talk about was, I went to a press conference, I think it was last week, right, at the prosecutor's office. Yeah, it was, I never like to hear addicts, I'll say, being arrested, but to get them the help they need is great. And I know there's more beds at Bergen Regional, but now I think you're going to see, hopefully, if we haven't seen it already, that there's a whole gap of people that still just don't have places to go, like transitional housing, supportive housing, with the mental health field and addiction services, like spring houses for women. I brought this up at the press conference, spring houses for women, but there's nothing. I know a couple for men, one for men, but it's a Christian-based thing, which is great, but not everybody wants that, So there's a problem with supportive housing, and it's really sad because there are people right now that are in jail because there's no other place for them to go. And Bergen Regional, I spoke to that union guy that was here the last time, and I liked a couple things he said. We were talking like back in the 80s when I used to go there for therapy, it was really nice. You sat for like half an hour and you talked and then you got your medication. And now it's like a meat market. 5 seconds, you're talking to the guy, there's no therapy. Trust me, I like Tom Rosemilli, he's really honest, but something's got to change with that hospital. I don't know, I know there's 12 organizations or companies that want to buy it. I don't know if this is the right way to put it because I don't want to sound negative, but in Alcoholics Anonymous there used to be a saying, you do the same thing twice, expecting different results, that's insanity. So I think, hopefully things will be straightened out with Bergen Regional. Because there's I'm getting a lot of people that get discharged, not only from psych, I'm talking about the regular side of the hospital, a lot of people that get discharged that really shouldn't, that I don't think should be, and stuff like that, but, so I don't really know what to do about that, but there's definitely a need for supportive housing for men. 3 minutes specific. And That's it, thank you.
Thank you. Paul? Sure. Mr.
Mr.
Nichols?
Nichols, just on the housing issue, can I give you a phone number? It's a rapid rehousing program that the Housing Authority
Oh,
has.
I'm the resource guy, I know
Do
all
you have
about it.
that number?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
The problem is the people that are being evicted don't know about this stuff
Right.
until the last minute. That's what I was maybe thinking about. Thank you so much.
Marissa Safali?
Would you explain your name, please?
Sure. MARISACEFALI. Hi, this is my first time visiting here. Very nice to meet you all. I live in Hillsdale, New Jersey. There is a application before the planning board for a 49-unit apartment building to be built rather close to my home. It's supposed to be built on, there's 8 acres of land, 6 of which is wetlands. Only 2 of the acres are not wetlands because there was a massive amount of dumping at one time and it's above grade. The wetlands borders the Pascack Brook. I don't know if you're familiar with waste management, it's right down the block from there. The big problem we have right now is, thanks to this whole COA thing, and all the towns are in a kind of almost being bullied that they have to worry about the COAs that they may have to meet. They're building, they have blinders on with that. The problem with this particular project is the DEP's permit expired in July. The permit is 5 years old. It was issued before Sandy. According to the DEP, this property isn't in a flood zone. But according to FEMA, it is. And I have an example for you here. This is the project. This blue here is the actual building itself. This is my neighbor's home, right here. That's going to be right butt up against the project. This is the FEMA map. If you put the FEMA map up to it, this is all, oh, backwards, Marissa. Esplanade Drive, there you go. This is all, what's it called? LAE, it's flood zone. No question about it, all flood zone. According to the builder, he doesn't even need flood insurance. So we're going to put 49 apartment buildings on an all flood area. The worst part about this is once you do that, all the runoff is going to go right into the Pascack Brook. Right down from the Pascack Brook is the Beechwood section that gets flooded out terribly, that Hillsdale's now looking to buy homes to help those people. It goes from there to the Oradell Reservoir to Hackensack. By taking this, impervious areas can transport runoff more quickly than natural areas. This shortening of the transportation and the travel quickens the rainfall runoff response to the drainage area, causing flow in the downstream waterways to peak faster and higher and natural conditions. Right next to this property is the public service substation.
It's 3 minutes, Mr. Fowler.
Okay,
So, Diane?
Donna.
I'm sorry, Donna, if you want to just continue the next 3
Okay.
minutes. And just before you continue, we did have a phone conversation.
Yes.
I recommended that you speak to your state legislature because this board does not have the authority over your local planning board, so the attorney could cover them, kind of like what we already had that conversation on the phone, that although you're coming to us and you're asking us about the project really is not controlled by this legislative body. So the planning board is your local planning board and zoning board, it's your local municipality. So I don't know what this board could.
What about the flood part of it? Who's right? Is FEMA right or is the DEP right? I mean, that's the big problem.
Sorry. Okay. So Dave's saying they can appeal on us.
Uh,
if it's a planning board, a local planning board issue,
Right.
which is still outside the jurisdiction of the county government and this legislative body, there are sometimes avenues by which you can appeal decisions of your local planning boards to either the county planning board, and depending upon what kind of matter it is, that might end up with an appeal that then stands before this board
Okay.
for consideration, which would be within its jurisdiction. But as it presently stands, there's really nothing that any of the freeholders can do, other than allow you to have your 3 minutes and put your concerns on the record.
So should we go to the county with these flooding issues?
Well, I think it's still a local issue. It's still a
Okay.
Hillsdale municipal issue. And then you have to exhaust your remedies through the process at the local land use board, and then take it up to the level of appeal that follows that.
Okay, because it's not going to be just a Hillsdale flooding issue. This is going to go downstream all the way to Hackensack. We all know the flooding in Bergen County, right? So if you've lived there long enough,
Excuse me, have you gone to the local mayor and council of the various towns and the planning board of the various towns?
Yeah, and then
That are
they all go back to
affected by
our mayor, who I think is,
Can you just come down and speak?
it all filters back to our new mayor, who,
it's pushing the apartments.
because we have the COA problem. And, you know, you have to, and I guess what they consider the less of the two evils. I mean, I don't know, you know, to me, regardless of what anybody wants to do, as a county or even a state, who determines the flood zone? The FEMA? I mean, as citizens, if you're in a flood zone, you're paying FEMA. They say you're in a flood zone, you have to pay FEMA. So who's right? FEMA or the DEP? We can't even get that answer.
Right.
Forget about even going to the mayor. Can we even find out who can tell us the proper flood?
We just keep getting the running around. No matter where we go, we're getting
All
the
right, so
running
the administrator wants to just talk about the map situation.
Just that any problem with regard to, especially post-Sandy, is with regard to determination of the flood zones. Once FEMA and there's federal regulations now talking about the consequences in terms of requirements for insurance and being able to receive emergency funds in disasters, that with that pressure from the federal government, if they've determined it to be a flood zone, that's pretty much the localities almost have their hands tied at this point, because there's going to be consequences for anyone who lives in those areas if they don't get the necessary flood insurance, et cetera, et cetera. So as far as the determination if it's in a flood zone, once they have changed the whole map designations post-Sandy, there's a lot of consequences that will follow if you don't recognize the new FEMA determination of what the new flood elevations are in those areas.
Mr. Chair, if I could just share with the public, you know, I was on the planning board in River Edge, I was the chairman of the planning board. The mayor appoints, and I don't know what type of form of government, but usually the mayor appoints the members of the planning board. But the bottom line is that those members are ultimately responsible for making a recommendation and voting to approve a site application or site plan for that. And I'm going to ask a question, if I may, Mr. Chairman. I know if there's sometimes an appeal of a decision by a planning board, it goes to a judge. Would it be a Superior Court judge, or would it be I know it was Judge Harris in Bergen County, a lot of the appeals went to him.
That was Superior.
Right. So there are a couple avenues. You can go back. I know there was a situation a couple months ago with a supermarket and an application that came before us, in Wyckoff, if I'm not mistaken. But you know, there's a couple. But my suggestion would be, if the chairman will let me just give a recommendation, is that speak to and go to the planning board meetings. Has it been presented to the planning board?
We've been doing this for 4 years.
Okay. All right.
Mr. Chairman?
Yeah, I'm on the planning board, on the county planning board, and I can't remember anybody coming to make an appeal, but, you know, it might be worth their while to come and explain to the county.
So there's a county planning board.
Yeah.
See, we just were like, okay, let's get online and see where do we go from our planning board? We did not.
And that's what I'm asking.
But the county planning board does not address local,
Town.
normal local town issues, unless it comes before the appeal.
And the jurisdiction of the planning board, the county planning board is limited as
Very
well.
limited.
Right.
Okay.
Very
Phil?
limited.
I wanted to ask the question if the planning board has rendered a decision. Has this been approved yet?
No, it's coming down.
So the public hearings are still taking place in Hillsdale?
Well, of course, the builder has a lawyer, a very loud, boisterous lawyer.
Right,
And
other
we
professionals,
don't
I'm sure.
have the funds to protect us.
3 minutes, Mr. Chairman.
Just
So-
you can finish up.
You know, so anyway, we're at the point now, up until now, we can only ask questions. We can't even.
If we can even ask
Even
questions.
if we can ask a question.
They won't let us
So
ask
hopefully
questions.
now we're gonna have open where we can say what we want, but, you know, you live in a small town, you know what's going on, all of a sudden it comes back that it's a done deal and that's that, and I'm like, well, you know, when people are shooting down that street, you know, we came and we.
I just have a question. Do you have, is there any designation in your master plan on how many units per acre for affordable housing?
No, because, we don't even have a zoning for apartments. This
So
is
you don't have a COA plan, or you don't have?
The COA plan right now, we're at 123, but as you all know, we're waiting for the third round, so nobody
You
knows.
said this is by a creek, is that what you said?
Oh, by the Pascack Brook.
C1 designations, or if I'm not mistaken, Councilman, correct me, but there are C1 designations where you can't build too close to a creek that came out approximately 6 years ago. Am I correct?
As I understand it, yes.
Yes, so I think that's something you need to ask your planning board if the C1 designation is taken into effect, into account, excuse me.
Well, yeah, because it's 8 acres, and he's building on the furthest corner.
Okay, but you're telling me is, and I don't want to get into this because the chairman is right, this is
Right,
really a long
right,
issue.
right.
But if you're telling me a lot of it's wetlands, it goes by usable area. And if you got an acre here that is right next to a wetlands, that's knocked out. If you got an acre here that's not next to the wetlands, that's knocked out. Now, that's knocked out. So your question to the planning board to them should be, has the C1 designation been taken into account?
Okay.
Okay? And that's just one of the questions.
Okay.
All right, appreciate it.
All right,
I mean,
thank you.
Could you just tell me your name, please?
Donna Campbell.
Spell it?
Kaamfor.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Seeing no one else wishing to speak, may I have a motion to close? Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Public session is now closed. Will the clerk please read the resolutions on the consent agenda?
Resolutions on consent. Resolutions on consent are 933-16 through 945-16, 947-16 through 957-16, and 959-16 through 980-16.
May I have a motion to accept the resolutions on the consent agenda as read by the clerk? Well, please call the roll.
Freeholder DeNicola.
Yes?
Freeholder Felice.
Yes.
Freeholder Gans.
Aye.
Freeholder Sullivan. Freeholder Voss.
Yes.
Freeholder Zora is absent, and Chairman Tinelli.
Yes. Are there any resolutions of non-consent pulled or tabled? Will the clerk please read?
There are 946-16 is a resolution authorizing to increase YWCA area plan contract award by 20% from July 1st, 2016 through December 31st, 2016.
May I have a motion introduced?
So moved.
I'll second that.
Mr. Chairman, if I just may make a comment before, I intend to abstain on this resolution. I am on the board of directors of the YWCA, though I will not benefit in any way from this. Thank you.
Sure. Please call the roll.
Freeholder DeNicola.
Abstain?
Freeholder Felice.
Yes.
Freeholder Gans.
Aye.
Freeholder Sullivan.
Yes.
Freeholder Voss.
Yes.
Freeholder Zora is absent, and Chairman Tinelli.
Yes.
The next one is Resolution 958-16, which is a resolution authorizing contract with Paving Materials and Contracting LLC to provide new roadway to DPW facility on Bergen Regional Medical Center property, Paramus, New Jersey.
May I have a motion introduced, sir?
So moved.
Second.
Please call the roll.
Freeholder DeNicola.
No?
Freeholder Felice.
Yes.
Freeholder Gans.
Aye.
Freeholder Sullivan.
Yes.
Freeholder Voss.
Yes.
Freeholder Zora is absent, Chairman Tinelli.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, I just want to make a comment that this is necessary because this wasn't included in the original plan, and this was something we had to do as a, it wasn't addressed properly prior to issue.
Thank you, Freeholder. Also, I'd like to just comment on the fact that this facility now is much more functional facility with the improvements and enhancements that have been done with, so the office has moved up there. This is going to be really almost a central hub for our DPW and the offices that will be up there. So,
Mr. Chairman, if I could just add too, it is larger, it is more expensive, and it is a different roadway plan than was originally discussed. Thank you.
you're absolutely right, Freeholder. The other one was actually creating an entire intersection to enter into the facility. This is actually using the Bergen Regional Medical Center as an entranceway, and there was some concerns about the tunnels being safe or not, and I think this also addresses some of that issue too, just so we're all aware of that. Okay. Moving on, will the clerk please read ordinance 1618 by title only?
The proof of publication of ordinance notice of the public hearing was published in the Record and the Herald News on Sunday, August 28, 2016. A copy of the notice in hearing ordinance number 16-18 was duly posted pursuant to NJSA 48:2-17 on Friday, August 26, 2016. The title is read as follows. Bond ordinance providing for various capital improvements by the County of Bergen, appropriating the aggregate amount of $3,393,500, therefore and authorizing the issuance of $3,225,000 in bonds or notes of the county to finance part of the cost thereof.
May I have a motion to open the hearing to ordinance 16-18 to the public?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Public hearing is now open with a 5-minute time limit to speak about ordinance 16-18 only at this time. The board attorney will keep the time. When the time of the speaker has expired, the timekeeper will announce the time has expired. Anyone wishing to speak on ordinance 16-18? Now, seeing anyone, may I entertain a motion to close the hearing on ordinance 16-18 to the public?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. The public hearing on ordinance 16-18 is closed. Is there any discussion by the board on 16-18? Seeing none, may I?
Chairman, if I
Freeholder?
could briefly, at the last meeting when this ordinance was introduced, I abstained. I did have a discussion with the treasurer. My concern was that during the budget hearings, we had actually reduced this number by $100,000, though that change hadn't been reflected in the budget that went to Trenton. It was in part because of vehicles, and then also a metal detector had been donated to the county and didn't need to be purchased. So I just ask that, I know there's a lot in here necessary, that when we do move forward, that's kept in mind so we don't borrow as up to the amount of the ordinance. Thank you.
Good, Freeholder. May I have a motion to adopt ordinance 16-18 as read by the clerk?
Second.
Please call the roll.
Freeholder Tina Kola.
Yes.
Freeholder Felice.
Yes.
Freeholder Gantz.
Aye.
Freeholder Sullivan.
Yes.
Freeholder Boss.
Yes.
Freeholder Azor is absent. Chairman Tinelli.
Yes.
Ordinance 16-18 is adopted. Second reading.
Will the clerk please read ordinance 16-19 by title only?
The proof of publication of the ordinance notice of the public hearing was published in the Record and the Herald News on Sunday, August 28, 2016, and is on file in my office. A copy of the notice of the hearing and ordinance number 16-19 was duly posted pursuant to NJSA 48:2-17 on Friday, August 26, 2016. The title is read as follows. Bond ordinance providing for various capital improvements by the County of Bergen, appropriating the aggregate amount of $5,039,500, therefore and authorizing the issuance of $4,791,000 bonds or notes of the county to finance part of the cost thereof.
I have a motion to open the hearing on ordinance 16-19 to the public.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Public hearing is now open with a 5-minute time limit to speak about ordinance 16-19 only. At this time, the board attorney will keep the time. When the time of the speaker has expired, the timekeeper will announce that the time has expired. Anyone wishing to speak on ordinance 16-19? Not seeing anybody, may I have a motion to close the hearing on ordinance 16-19 to the public?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. The public hearing on ordinance 16-19 is now closed. Is there any board discussion or comment on 16-19? Seeing none, on to...
Mr. Chairman, that one.
It's twice.
Yes, it is, right. One brief comment, and I do intend to vote in the affirmative on this as well, but it's a follow-up comment also to the public hearing on the capital portion of the sheriff's budget. And I understand there is a lot in here that law enforcement needs. It's a comment regarding vehicle purchase, that now all vehicle purchase for law enforcement has been moved into the capital budget, and all vehicles will be SUVs. And I just want to make the request moving forward that we consider appropriate vehicle purchase in operating once again for other uses, as this is the more expensive way to go. Thank you.
Thank you, Freehold.
I want to comment on that.
Sure, Freehold.
SUVs are specifically permitted under state law to be capitalized, and this takes advantage of that. And whether it is more one way or the other depends on the numbers.
Right now it's all, but yes.
Thank you, Freeholders. May I have a motion to adopt 16-19 as read by the clerk? Please call the roll.
Freeholder Di Nicola.
Yes?
Freeholder Felice.
Yes.
Freeholder Gantz.
Aye.
Freeholder Sullivan.
Absolutely.
Freeholder Boss.
Yes.
Freeholder Zor is absent. Chairman Zanelli.
Yes.
Ordinance 16-19 is adopted on second reading.
Okay, we'll now have Freeholder Committee reports. Freeholder Sullivan.
Thank you, Chairman. Well, I just wanted to wish everyone a happy Labor Day. I know that Labor Day weekend is over. Just want to remind everyone what Labor Day is all about, just like all our other holidays. It's a holiday to honor people who gave us the weekend. It's a holiday to people who stood up for what's right and work hard every single day and go to work. So, as a union electrician, it's one of my proud holidays. And I just think that we need to remember how the country was built on hard work, and that's labor. So I just want to say that I hope everyone enjoyed the Labor Day weekend, and it was a safe weekend. Obviously brings the end of summer, brings us the end of summer, which is unfortunate, especially even though it's going to be 90 degrees tomorrow, my air conditioning just broke. But we'll try to, as an electrician, to fix that when I go home tonight. I will do my best. Also, we remember that some of our jobs have been moved overseas, and some people don't want to pay a fair rate, a fair day's pay for a fair day's work. And hopefully we can, the Labor Day, that raises more awareness for higher paying jobs in our country. Last week I attended Music in the Barn, the Wharton Dyke Barn, a historic site in Park Ridge. Cynthia Forrest runs it. She's the director of Bergen County's Division of Cultural and Historic Affairs. She does a concert every month there, and it's really nice. You can sit out on the lawn there. You enjoy some rhythm and blues. Blues was the one there last month. They'll have two more, one at the end of September, one at the end of October. So if you live in the area or you just need something to do that day, go to the county website, look it up. It's really just a relaxing time, and I'm proud as a Bergen County Freeholder to go there and represent the Freeholder Board and show people the great things we do with our historic society. So, I also attended some school supply drives at Mount Olive Baptist Church in Hackensack and Mount Calvary Baptist Church in Englewood. There were 100 students and their parents came to celebrate. Barbecues, music, games, and of course they received backpacks with school supplies. It was nice to see so many people, so many smiling faces on all the donations that were made to help the people in those two communities. They even made me dance. Thank God there's no video of that. It was a fun time.
What a disappointment.
Why is everybody laughing?
You should see me cut a rug. Reverend Jackson was very impressed, by the way, I'll tell you that. I also attended last week ribbon cutting ceremony at the new emergency room, Hackensack University Medical Center at Pascack Valley. This has been going on for years. This was a bitter battle for years. Being a resident of Pascack Valley, I think it's very important to have a hospital in that area. A few years back, they did the beds, they did the transition. They never moved the emergency room up front. It was always, Pascack Valley always had the emergency room in the back. You felt like you'd be going into the dungeon. Now they have a beautiful state-of-the-art. I think there's 20 examination rooms. It is just phenomenal. Hackensack University Medical Center and Meridian teamed up on this, and speaking of Labor Day, there was some great paying jobs there, and there's going to be more great paying jobs for people that are coming in to work at the facility. But the most important part is there's health care available in that region of the county, which after Pascack Valley Hospital closed down, there was none. So I'm very proud that that has made its way back, and it's going to prosper. It's really a first-class facility now. And lastly, I think everyone up here attended the Rutherford Street Fair on Labor Day. That seems to be a tradition. It's a great place to meet people. It's, you see everybody out there, Freeholders, Nicole, myself, all out there stumping, right? But it's a good camaraderie, and I appreciate seeing everyone out there. It was a great day for a street fair, and I want to thank Rutherford for hosting it. And that's my report, Chairman.
Thank you, Freeholder. Freeholder Gans?
Thank you. I'll try and be brief. Last week, I made my way over to the homeless shelter for the kickoff of a new partnership between the Department of Human Services and the Housing Authority of Eastwood College. This was the college's culinary school, and utilized the kitchen at the shelter to learn about preparation and restaurant management. I'd like to suggest, Mr. Chairman, that you offer an invitation to Eastwick to prepare a meal at the homeless facility and bring it over here for us on a Wednesday. I did speak to the people at the homeless shelter to see whether they would entertain such a proposal, and they said that they would consider it.
Great.
So,
Thank you, Freeholder.
Going back to school, it was a strange feeling, because for the first time in maybe 20 years, all the kids are out of school, out of college, and working. Novel. I have to say that at Mount Calvary and also at Mount Hollow, for the backpacks, and I know that a number of the freeholders participated financially in making donations or actually bringing physical product for the kids' backpacks and the school program. I know that it's very much appreciated by the congregation and also by the kids. I have a bunch of other stuff, but I just want to talk about Bergen Wellness for a second. Bergen Wellness program, for those of you who are unaware of it and haven't heard about it here at our freeholder meeting over the last 10 years, this is a great device that saves you money on everything from prescription drugs for you to prescription drugs for your pet, and in addition to that, there are also human drugs that are available at a substantial discount. The card is free. You can get it at the address that Frank Fuchs is going to insert on the video of this between my fingers, and I think that you'll find it's a great program. More than $14 million worth of prescription drug savings have been utilized by Bergen County residents, and Freeholder McPherson, former Freeholder McPherson, was with her mom in Philadelphia, and her mother needed a hearing aid. Hearing aids are expensive. A good pair of hearing aids can run anywhere from $3,000 to $6,000. Her mom picked a $2,800 hearing aid, and she's been carrying the Bergen Wellness card for years in her pocket, and Bernadette said, let me see if this really works. And she presented it to the hearing aid people, and they gave her a discount that for the $2,800 hearing aid was $900 total cost, discount on the spot. This is a great program. It doesn't cost you anything to get the card. The point of sale is where it's deducted, and this is a program brought to you by your board of chosen freeholders. I encourage you to do it. Look on the website to find out more about it. And this benefit, we know precisely on prescription drugs, because we get a report on that. We know anecdotally that the best buys are hearing aids, where if you go to the top of the line for $6,000, you can get it in this area for roughly half that price of $3,000. Wish you all a very good beginning, start of the school year, and coming up soon, the Jewish holiday for the new year. Thank you very much, Chairman. That's my report.
Thank you. You're the boss.
Thank you, Chairman. I'm sure that everybody was unhappy to see the end of summer come, but there were many, many great fairs, and one of them was in Lodi, the St. Joseph Feast, and was a good time that I think it lasted about 4 days, and it's very nice to see communities come together and everybody, you know, be very proud of their community. On Sunday, I went to the Filipino-American Festival at Opec, and was one of the fun things was we always get an opportunity to say, you know, hello to people, and they asked me to go on stage and explain what a freeholder is. And it's amazing how many people have absolutely no clue about the services that we provide here in Bergen County and what freeholders are. And we're the only state that uses that particular term. And so it's, people scratch their heads when they hear it, but I explained that years ago people couldn't run for office or vote unless they had owned land freely and unencumbered. And so I don't know if that means a lot to people, because I don't think we have to conform to those rules anymore, but the term still prevails. Next Wednesday, on the 14th of September, Bergen County is going to host a senior citizens picnic at Van Zorn Park, and hundreds of seniors will come out. And it's one of the many nice things I think Bergen County does for its citizens. And as I said, it's in Van Zorn Park. I believe that most of the communities bus their seniors to the picnic, and it's a really, really good day and a lot of fun. Freeholder Dina Kohler and I are very, very, very concerned with our military, and every opportunity we get to do something good for the military, we take advantage of that opportunity. And today I had a wonderful experience, and I wish other towns would do what my town does. And actually it was my Rotary Club in the DFW who have a monument in the center of town, and we try to honor people who have served our nation in all the various branches of the military, both men and women. And I was so happy today because two of my former students who graduated in 1966 were honored. They are very much alive and well, but both of them served in the Vietnam War, and they were so honored, and we were so honored that we were able to pay respect and honor to them while they were still alive and kicking. And we'll be doing a lot more of that. And I think that, you know, we have to constantly remember how much we are indebted. The first year I taught, one of my students, who was also in the class with these two gentlemen, joined the military right after graduation and went to Vietnam and was killed. And every Memorial Day, I make sure that I keep his name alive, because I think that people have to remember that a lot of 18-year-olds never got to be 19. One other thing. Freeholder Nina Kohler is on the board at the YWCA, and the lady who is the CEO of the YWCA, another one of my students. I'm so proud of my kids, I can't tell you. They're all over the place and doing great things. And 2 days ago, she wrote a very good editorial in the Bergen Record, and it concerned the young people who were going back to school, particularly the young people who were going to college and being away from home, living in dorms. The amount of sexual assault on college campuses is rampant, and we have to start giving our kids instructions on how to protect themselves from kindergarten on all the way up through high school. Because 1 in 5 girls will have an incident during the course of their college career, and this has to stop. And we have to teach people to be respectful to each other and to take care of each other. One other thing I want to talk about, and I will finish with this. We have wonderful services for disabilities here in Bergen County. And on September 25th, the Disability Awareness Day is going to be at the zoo in Banzon Park. And this is also sponsored by the Bergen County Freeholders and by the Disabilities Human Services. It's for free, and go there because you will learn a tremendous amount of what we're trying to do to help people with disabilities and to stand out in tolerance of people who have disabilities.
Some parts of the legislation were vetoed, and I did read in the record that Senator Weinberg was somewhat comfortable with that she could work around that, and hopefully in short order that Senate bill will be reconstituted and resubmitted for, I'm not sure whether it be sent back to the governor's desk for signature, or it has to go through committee, or it has to be voted again. But nevertheless, the overall arching principles, and I know some people spoke to this during public session, is how do we move forward with Bergen Regional? What kind of care is going to be provided in a very complex healthcare environment, and with people that this is their area of last resort. In the healthcare community, we don't see a lot of psychiatric, we don't see a lot of behavioral. So for many residents, not just in Bergen County, but in the whole northeast or the northern part of New Jersey, this is their last hope. So I think we made an extraordinary effort of the committee to make sure that there's going to be that oversight. Obviously, the devil's in the details and how in which the new management organizations, and let me just articulate that it will not be sole Bergen Regional, it will still be under the license of the Bergen County Improvement Authority. But we will not be managing day to day, but with this oversight board, we'll have the ability to manage the vision of it and how in which that care is provided in a very complex healthcare environment, as I just mentioned. So I look forward to the bill finally being made into law and having this oversight board populated, and hopefully before I leave that could be done. And I hope it would be since the end of the legislative session, at the end of the year. So I just hope that that occurs and we can move forward with the next stage of the history of Bergen Region on how it's going to provide services to the residents of Bergen County. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Phil. Phil, did you call?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think I did that thing. Just following up on what Freeholder Felice just said about the legislation, during our work meeting, the county administrator and also our Freeholder Council had agreed to put together an overview of that legislation at a subsequent work meeting, which I think would be good for all of us and certainly good for the public to understand better what's going to happen as that hospital moves forward. I wanted to speak first about something that Paul Nichols had mentioned during the public session, and that was in regard to Spring House, transitional housing that we have here, actually on the campus of Bergen Regional Medical Center. And there is a resolution on our agenda this evening, number 934, in accepting funds for Spring House. Paul and I was there with him, attended a press conference given by the prosecutor on September 1st, last Thursday. And it was in regard to a new initiative called Helping Hand. What that initiative is trying to do is once raids have taken place, once people have been arrested for possession or drug use, there is an effort to get those those people, and they are young, they are old, they are retired policemen, they are nurses, to get them into detox and then hopefully into rehab and on the road to a better life. We know that heroin is an absolute epidemic, as is opiate addiction, across the nation and very much so here in Bergen County. We want to eliminate the drugs on the street, but we also want to turn lives around. And I know that two of the words that were used very often were seamless and continuum. We don't want to lose people between the gaps, between the arrest and their next use, between detox and rehab. And it's a lifelong journey to stay rehabilitated. This was the first time that this initiative had taken place. There is so much more work to be done. And I do want to also give a shout out to our Office of Alcohol and Drug Dependency. If anyone out there needs any kind of advice, any follow-up, any information regarding where they can go and who they can speak to, they can call this office here in Bergen County, and that number is 201-634-2740. We do have programs in place to help them. I also wanted to mention that those 12 of the 40 who were arrested who did accept detox happened to go to Bergen Regional. We do have other resources that we work with and that the Freeholders support, but it was very important that they were there as well and that those beds were available. Many of my Freeholders have already spoken about all of the events that have taken place across the county and that we all have gone to together. And Freeholder Sullivan and I have used a tremendous amount of sunscreen over the last couple of weeks. I will say that. It's the Irish in us, right? Exactly. But it is wonderful to see so many people outside, so many municipalities, so many positive events surrounding community and outdoor activities, history, culture, and the arts over the last several weeks. Today I also attended the first day of school for Bergen County Christian Academy right here in Hackensack. And it is true, there's nothing like the first day of school. It just smells different on the first day of school. Everyone is so happy, the kids are so positive, sneakers are new or clean. It's a great thing, and I do wish all of our families and all of our children across Bergen County a very, very successful academic year, and maybe a cup of tea for a lot of mothers out there once they get their kids off. I want to mention again that the Elder Abuse Conference that's organized by the Prosecutor's Office and was begun by former Freeholder Bernadette McPherson will take place on October 14th up in Mahwah at the Law and Public Safety Institute. I quickly want to add to Freeholder Voss's comments about Helen Arcantu, who is the CEO of the YWCA. It was an incredible op-ed piece that was published in the Bergen Record 2 days ago, and the numbers are staggering. 1 in 5 young adult females in college will be assaulted, and 1 in 16 young men. And those numbers are from the National Sexual Violence Resource Center, and that's in light of the fact that 90% of assaults are never reported. So the numbers are certainly much higher than that. And it does speak to the fact that we need education, we need training, we need understanding, and it does have to begin in kindergarten. It's about how we treat one another, how we respect one another, and then how we deal with all of the other issues, the independence, the substance abuse that can take place as well, and add to a climate that is not the way we want to behave, certainly not the way we want our children to behave, or to be treated by others. We have a division of alternatives to domestic violence right here in Bergen County as well, and it is phenomenal. It has a unique program that doesn't only treat the victim, It also treats the offender so that you can break the cycle of domestic violence. And they too have a phone number, 201-336-7575. They have a hotline. They're available for help and advice as well. And that, Mr. Chairman, is my report.
Thank you, Freeholder. So, a lot of things, every month, a lot of things get covered that we all attend, so I try not to repeat what other people have already mentioned. So, last Wednesday, the City of Teaneck and Teaneck Township came out to honor the great community advocate, Mayor Lizette Parker, and renamed the street in her honor. They had a street fair. It was really a true honor for somebody that was an advocate for so many. So, just a tremendous tribute. I know that this won't air for 9/11, which is coming up quickly. I'm sure this won't be on by then, but there's so many 9/11 memorials back on. Last year, we all commented on the fact that we can never forget that horrific day, and it seemed like towns were doing away with their ceremonies. This year, thankfully, a lot of those towns are back on the schedule. We have a full plate on 9/11 of towns that are honoring those that perished that day, even from, not just from their community, but around the world. I want to welcome, and first of all, I'd like to thank everybody on behalf of my family for the prayers and support. Last week, we welcomed my grandson, Landon Noah, had some complications, and through everybody's prayers, he's hopefully going home tomorrow. Still has some challenges, but I can tell the outpouring of support made a little more bearable. So I just want to thank everybody for support. As my Freeholder Gans would do, I want to show a picture of my grandson. I'm just going to close by saying school's open. Please ask everybody to drive safely. Can't forget the little children that don't know any better that might step into the curb. So just go a little bit slower. Don't be in such a rush. Leave a little earlier. So that concludes my report. With nothing further to come before this board, I'll take a motion to close.
Second.
Or to adjourn, I'm sorry. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. We are now adjourned at 8:35.